Welcome to Change Mentor. I am Denny Brownlee along with Craig Stevens and Patricia Leonard. We're here last time. In this newest episode, we've added two more ladies to the mix, and we're going to hear a little bit about them, what they're all about, and what they bring to the table. And I want to start first of all with Ann Jagger. I know that she's business partners with Craig in many endeavors, but there's a whole lot more to Ann than meets the eye. So Ann, if you would take it and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Denny. I started on the creative path many, many years ago at the age of 7. I wanted to learn how to crochet, and I've been doing that for 55 years now. And that has brought me awards with some of the things that I've done, and it's given me a lot of confidence. So I grew with that, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I have 12 different businesses under my belt, some of which are still in operation today. Others have been absorbed by some of my other companies, and a couple failed miserably. I learned a lot.
If you're going to fail miserably, doggone it.
That's right, because you really learn well when you fail miserably. So with that said, I also learned to pay attention to opportunities along the way. And one of the opportunities that came along when I turned 50 was the ability to write a series of books for children to empower them. I never thought in a million years I would ever write books. I wrote a lot of technical manuals and standard operating procedures for my companies, but never anything on that creative side of it. So,
and that's quite a far reach from technical stuff at work to totally play and fun for kids, yet, like you say, helping them with their self-esteem. So tell me a little bit about those books and how that all came about.
Well, I turned 50 and I had this mortality moment, and I decided I was going to look back on my life. And as I reflected on that, I saw that there were many, many people who had helped me along those 50 years, and they were the reason I was where I was in life at that moment. So I decided to take 50 people, one for every year I had been alive, and create either a person, place, or thing in my series. And I did a special edition for those people, and they traveled with me throughout the whole story. So it was something very heartwarming for me, and a way to say thank you to those people for impacting my life, whether that was on the business side of it or whether that was in my personal life. And from that experience, I created the audiobooks, and I decided I was going to be one of the voices in my audiobooks. That was something I had never considered doing. I've written songs. I never thought I'd do that. I had the opportunity, and I grabbed it when I ran into a gentleman who was in one of my dance classes and needed a ride home. And on the way home, I asked him what he did, and he told me he was a director. And I thought of writing screenplays, didn't know how to do that either, but figured, hey, I'd like to try that. And I had the opportunity to work on a film. And we are producing, I'm the producer of this film. And we're finishing that up. It's in post-production right now, and we're hoping to release it before the end of the year. So those are all things that have transpired just from little bits and pieces in my life. And the biggest story I've learned from my experience is there are opportunities everywhere. And don't be afraid to grab them, even if you don't know anything. You can learn. You can learn what you need. I want to take a book that Craig wrote, and I would love to turn that into a screenplay. He has a case study, a business case study, that is a wonderful, wonderful story. It's engaging. It could be dramatic or thriller. I mean, it depends on the twist we could put on it. But it would be something that people in the business world could use. They could learn. It's visual. It's got the auditory components. It's got all the tools that people need to help change their organizations, and doing it in a fun and creative way. And I think that kind of ties in with what Sandy does. And she's much more sophisticated in that arena than I am. So I'd like you to hear more about Sandy.
Well, and I feel like I've found a soul sister, you. um, and I'm like you. I've written for a lot of different platforms. Uh, I got my bachelor's degree as a creative writer in poetry, which is such a profitable industry, you know. Uh, but in the course of working with my husband, Denny, I've written for stage. I've written screenplays. I've written for industrial films. I have created story experiences centered around plays, which extended the story past the actual meat of the play, and created an experience for the audience. And I've also written a book, Mystery. It's my first book. So I have gone all over the place, and I really love that. I hate being boxed in to just one thing. But my big focus, and I'd say my passion, is using story to create an experience for an audience or a client, so that they're involved in the story world of a book, a film, a play, a business. I mean, it's all engaging and turning, say, a fan or a client into an advocate, because they are part of your story. So that's me.
Excellent. And I'll just throw in, she recently got a degree from Lipscomb University, a Master of Fine Arts, which is a terminal degree, not meaning that it kills her, but that's as high as you can go in the fine arts. It's much like a doctor's degree in other pursuits. So anyway, she's got the letters after her names, but she's also got the street cred. And one thing she didn't mention, but this goes back a long time ago for us, we got into writing for television for the Inspirational Network, and lo and behold, they created a afternoon block of kids programming, and they wanted somebody to host it. And I had done a little commercial for them as this explorer kind of guy, and I said, let's go with that. And so Sandy helped create my character that I then played on camera. She wrote all the scripts for the thing, and we were the mortar between the bricks as far as the cartoons and things like that they were showing for kids. I was the guy in between who got to take them cool places and show them cool things that, you know, parts of God's creation and what have you. And it was an absolute blast. And getting to work together with the writer, me being the on-camera goofball, and doing it for kids. So we've kind of come full circle here, as far as we've got a bunch of folks who want to help people in business by being creative and acting like kids. I think is what we've come to here.
Yeah. I'd like to ask Pat, because I know that Patricia has a lot of information. I could kind of see it in her eyes while you guys were talking about the importance of telling a story in business. I know that we had a little bit of a conversation about that, but if anything comes to your mind, I'd like to hear what Pat has to say about what we just heard.
This is really exciting to hear all of these creative things that you're speaking about, because I think it is exactly what fits in corporate America as far as training. And I think Craig might be referring to, I was working in a corporate office in Columbus, Ohio, and we were talking about communication. That was what my workshop was about, was communication. I dressed up like a magician and stood out in the atrium. It was a huge building. And as they came by at lunch, I waved the magic wand. And I said to this one gentleman, I didn't know who he was, I said, have you had any magic today? And he said, oh, if it did, it'd probably disappear. The rabbit would get lost or something. And I said, why don't you come to my workshop this afternoon and we'll explore more? He showed up. And I found out he was at the senior level of the organization. But here's what happened. It doesn't matter. We did a Broadway show while we were in there, but it was about they could play. I gave them a task, and we had a bag of rags. And I said, now I want you to entertain this other group, and then we're going to process how this has anything to do with communication. And he put on a wig out of that bag of rags, and he put on a necklace and a bikini, a turquoise bikini. And we sang, and his group backed him up with a song, Ain't She Sweet? And he danced around. And now this is he had his suit on still, because he said, I have to go to a meeting. But as he was, he processed with us. And as he went out the door, he said, you know what, this is probably the most effective workshop that I've ever been to in my life. He said, it's real. And that's why when you were talking about what you do, I think the world is ready to play, because Shakespeare is my driver. And Shakespeare taught about life through the theater. And I just recently dressed up like a magician at Orange Theory and motivated the people there about how to get fit and how to go for what you want in your life, and that's a critical element. So this is really exciting, because I think that's what corporate America wants now, to make change through using a different focus. And we can be fabulous mentors in that, because my one woman show is about helping women get out of their flip-flop life in corporate America. So, wow, this is exciting. I'm excited. Sandy and Ann, I'm grateful to hear what you're saying, because it fits right up my alley. Oh.
And let's cut.